Okay. Check, check, check. 1, 2. Test 2. Check 1, 2. Okay, so that's me direct. Greetings, everyone, to the Mary D. Welch Show. We are running slightly behind, so please stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We have a wonderful special guest that is here today to enlighten you about the art world. So stay tuned for the Mary D. Welch Show. Thank you so much for your patience.
I just take one step at a time. I've done illustrations for several books, but getting ready to vision my experience and down. Coming from Skid Row. This whole thing came up when image of a angel who is disguised as a homeless person.
Okay, oh my gosh!
You heard in the movie, the sitcom, Touched by Angel. Okay. There's a passage in the Bible that says, "Be careful how you entertain strangers, because they can be angels
Unaware.
So this whole concept of winged figures, and the Bible already told you that. Okay. If God in His infinite wisdom wants to send mercenaries or spies.
My phone. And now, welcome the Mary D. Welch Show.
Oh, we are just so excited to be with you today. Today, we have the world-renowned artist, Mr. Charles Bibbs. He is here. He's going to enlighten us. I can tell you, I've been sitting here just conversing with him and going over some really exciting things going on in his life. But I just want to take this time and introduce you to a true friend of mine. His name is Charles Bibbs. Charles?
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's just an honor to be with you today. I know we've known each other for a little while, but still, there's a lot about you that I don't know, and I will tell you. Well, let me just ask you this: where were you born, Charles?
I was born in San Pedro, California.
All right.
Yes.
Right. And are you the oldest, the youngest,
I'm the
middle?
second.
You're the second.
Yes.
Oh, great. Boy, is it a boy older than you, a girl?
It's a boy.
Okay.
Yes.
Second boy.
There's 8 of us all together.
Is it really? Are you the only artist?
Well, there's some creative people in my family.
Okay.
But I'm the only, you can say, successful artist.
Okay.
Okay.
Are the other ones, are they writers?
Singers, and they do a myriad of other things that sort of ventures into the artistic phase of their life.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know you were raised in San Pedro also.
Well, when I was up till about 5 years old, and then our family moved to Harbor City, California,
Okay.
and that's where I was raised from that point to the time I got married.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, and you are married to your lovely wife,
My lovely
Elaine.
wife, Elaine,
For how long?
50. Let me get this right. I want to underestimate it. Let me say 50.
Okay.
It may
Well,
have been more.
well, you know if you get it wrong, Elaine's gonna correct you if you get it wrong.
Right?
So, anyway, but I think it's but 50 is a good number. That's a
Okay.
nice
Right.
round
I'm
number.
gonna stay at 50 for the next 5 years.
Oh, you're not. Well, you don't even look like you're 50, Charles. So I can't imagine. But but I know you guys you have a son.
Yes.
Okay, and
Yes.
he's Chucky.
Yeah. We call him Chucky,
Uh-huh.
but we call him Chuck.
Okay,
Yeah.
and two lovely grandchildren.
Two lovely grandchildren, Chucky the third,
Ooh.
or Charles the third,
Uh-huh.
and Sheridan.
Oh, how nice. How
Mhm.
nice. Now, are they interested in the arts also?
No, uh, no, they're not. My son is quite an artist.
Okay.
Okay, he's very creative, but he's creative in a different way.
Okay.
He manipulates.
Oh.
Okay, and that's another phase of art, but in the technical world,
Mm-hmm.
he
Mm-hmm.
manipulates art and does quite well at it. He's sort of like a computer guru.
Ooh.
Okay, he can do just about anything related to that field.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
I think that being an artist, being a creative, and it can be in any area, to me, it's always fascinating. When you're
yeah, it is.
creating something out of nothing,
Yes,
that's the
yes,
fascination for me.
and it's the way of our society.
It is.
Hmm.
I know we were talking about that.
Yeah,
And then art influences our society.
yeah, yeah, in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
Yeah, I always tell people, in your everyday life, you're exposed to art and you don't even consciously know it, but subconsciously
Yes.
it speaks to you. Yeah.
I know. When I look at your art, I'm always and not and just the influences, the colors, and the vibrancy. It always is. I mean, I
Yeah.
saw your art before I ever met you,
Mhm.
and I remember thinking, this is just beautiful. Like I said, I was just remember just looking at it, and this was on when I think you were doing postcards at that time.
Uh-huh.
That's how
Yeah.
I had one of your postcards,
Mhm.
and I saw that, and I said I was just so impressed and didn't never knew the artist, didn't know who it was, but I just remember seeing. I saw at the bottom it was
Uh-huh.
Charles Bibbs,
Yes.
and I would tell you even then I thought who comes up with these ideas, but at that time I didn't really understand how it impresses upon people,
Uh-huh.
and here it was I was being impressed by the art
Mhm.
and didn't understand it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing that I found out, and I found out not early but late,
Hmm.
is the power of the subconscious mind, and in terms of how things affect you when you don't even know it. And art is one of those things. And I learned that power very early when I started into the business of creating art.
Hey,
Okay, and
I'm
those
on
one
the,
of the
I'm
things
on
that
the air.
really
Hold
helped
on.
me achieve what I understood about why people must have a thing. Okay,
Mm.
and the power that it has when you put things into your home. Okay, that speaks to you.
Hmm.
And those things I learned that power, and I learned that as an artist you have the ability to communicate in ways that a lot of people really don't understand, and that's the subconscious connection that it makes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So in other words, it's all around us
Oh
then.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm
I
on the
mean,
air.
even
I
a
mean,
stop sign. You see a
we have a
stop
show
sign,
going
you
on, but
stop.
Mhm.
I'm not the presenter.
You just you're already making no. Don't
Oh
go any
yeah. I
further.
mean, it's there. It's there. I mean, and you respond to it subconsciously.
Okay.
Art has power.
Wow. What influence? Now I know that you we're talking about when you first realized you were an artist. When was that?
I was really early in my life because I always loved to create, but I didn't understand its power or what it was all about. And we didn't have a whole lot of role models as an African American artist. Not to say that they wasn't out there, but they just wasn't readily available. Me growing up in Harbor City, California, okay, which is outside of this is LA County.
Right.
Okay, we were kind of isolated due to redlining, surrounded by railroad tracks, and we couldn't go beyond those areas. So we were kind of isolated, but at the same time, we were able to take that isolation and use it to our advantage. Okay, because we wasn't affected by a lot of things. I mean, the Watts riot was going on in LA. Well, all my cousins came down to Harbor City, okay, to live with us until it was over. So the town that we were raised in was like a shelter from a lot of things, okay, because we wasn't subjected to a lot of things. I mean, we went to integrated schools, okay, and all that.
Right.
But we had to understand one thing that was really powerful about our little communities that we stuck together. You know, I remember just going to school. We had to meet at one point, and we couldn't walk through the white neighborhoods until enough of us got there, because we had to walk literally 2 miles to Fleming Junior High School or Narbonne High School. Okay, so we had to go. Our parents says never go alone, go together.
Right.
Okay.
And that's creating unity right there.
Yeah. I mean, you learn. I mean, you have to say, well, what does this have to do with art? It has everything to do with it. Okay, because you have to understand, you know, the things that confronts you to be a person. And God knows that Black people in America had a lot to consider.
Right.
Okay. And in order to survive.
Right.
Okay, but that's a subject that can go on forever. I'm telling you.
But all of that influenced you.
Oh yeah. It made who I am today. My father was a man from was part of a sharecropping family out of Mississippi. My mother came off from the Dockery, the famous Dockery farm, which was a Dockery plantation. She went back to Dockery just so that she can have my sister born there. So we had strong ties to the South. But we were living in this isolated area of Los Angeles called Harbor City.
Right. But all those Southern traditions, and they all come with you.
Oh, it's still today. You know, I have to lean on when I get to times where I don't have answers for what's going on today.
Right.
I go back to those times. I go back to when my father used to sit me down and tell me, you know, don't stand on the street corners. What do you want to be? You want to be a ditch digger. That was his word. You don't want to be a ditch digger.
Right.
He didn't say whether you could be a lawyer or an artist, anything, but don't be a ditch digger. That stuck with every child in my family. There was 8 of us. And when we get together, we talk about dad and iterating. Don't be a ditch digger. So there's a lot of meanings to that. Powerful.
Because he's telling you this is not acceptable to him.
Oh.
It's like, I'm not raising you.
Success was everything to him because he didn't want his kids to end up like him. So that was it. But that's unique to a lot of our families in the Black community. Okay. Which is a powerful thing. And I leaned on that in my art very, very strongly.
Oh, right. I can tell you because your family sounds similar to my family.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
In Mississippi, sharecroppers the same.
That's it.
They came to California literally identical. They were part of what was known as the Great Migration.
That's it.
That's
it.
And their goal was, as your family was, I'm sure, to have a better life for their kids.
Yes.
But I think, and I've said this before, I don't think it wasn't that they didn't want to stay in the South. The South became a place that wasn't safe for us.
Right.
That's what I think it was. It was that kind of.
Right.
They left right after Emmett Till's death. My parents did. And they were teenagers. I don't know if your parents were too. They were young. and they
Yeah.
still made that
Well, I
trip.
had a lot of opportunities to go back to the South and do have artistic relationships to a lot of people in the Southern communities, particularly Louisiana, Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, those were real hot spots we used to visit periodically and frequently,
Right.
and we made some bonds that even lasts today, and it affected my artwork because there's one thing that I understood was the subconscious power that we needed in the homes, because when I was raised up, there wasn't art on the wall. Okay, there was a lot of family photos.
Right.
Okay, and it was naturally a photograph of Martin Luther King
Right.
and white Jesus Christ. Okay, so that was the sum of the art that I was exposed to.
Yeah.
If you call it that.
Me
Okay.
too. Same thing.
but one thing that I noticed, that those family photos were very important because it kept me focused. It kept me in line. Okay. Then I said to myself, what is the power in having art on the wall that communicates as well? Okay. And these are things that kind of drove me, because in my college days, me and Elaine used to go to Black Panther uh, rallies
Right.
in Long Beach. Okay. And that's when I started painting about the Black Power movement. Okay. And then I started to learn the power that does for our people, to have something that they can feel, that they can make that connection visually. And if you make those connections visually all the time, subconsciously, it makes a difference in how you think. Right now, everything is about civil rights.
Right.
We're having a problem in our society. Okay. And I understood the power of what Martin Luther King did. Okay.
Right.
With the nonviolent movement. Okay. And so I started creating things based on that.
Right.
And those things, like showing people why we march. I did a piece called, what's the name of the piece? What is the name of that piece, Elaine? Can't remember it right.
That's okay. That's
But
fine.
that
Because
piece kind of illustrates, okay, why we marched the way we did.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And it showed in silhouettes the things that we endured, like the killing of Emmett Till, the Civil Rights Act
Right.
of 1964. All those things were in that picture.
Okay.
And I said, then when I produced those things, okay, people gravitated to that because that's the one thing that they needed
Right.
to hang on to in their lives.
And it spoke to them.
And it spoke to them.
Yeah.
So the images have power.
Right.
And that's I learned at a early age, that type of power.
Right.
But don't get me wrong, I wasn't always leaning towards civil rights in my artwork. I basically, when I first started out, I was doing anything, okay, that I can communicate. Okay.
To people that they would be able to understand.
So the Back to Africa movement, I started doing images about Africa.
Okay.
Okay, bringing that images into the homes of African American people. So not only me, there was thousands of other artists that got in and joined that movement.
Right.
Okay. Now, so this was a thing that which you learn empowerment. You learn the power that you will by creating things.
Right.
Okay. And it was just as good as reading the book. It was just as good as listening to somebody orating about civil rights. You can paint those pictures about civil rights. It talks to people. And that gave me the feeling that I've got some kind of power here.
Right.
That I can help, bridge that gap of ignorance among my people.
Right. Right.
Okay. And those are the things that I pray every night and thank God that he gave me that ability to do that. Okay.
Oh, that's a blessing. It really is. I know you're known for, I mean, so many pieces. Of all the pieces that you've done, do you have a favorite?
I have a favorite because it encompasses everything that we're about as a people. It's called Power and Glory.
Okay.
Okay. And it symbolizes the glory and the power of our culture. Okay. And I have a piece called A Gift. And it symbolizes that every culture on this earth has a particular gift to the world. This image of this person has his hands reaching out like this, and the bird emanates from that hand gesture,
Right.
which is the symbol of releasing this culture to the world.
Okay.
And that's what we do so beautifully, okay, in our culture.
Right.
Okay, the way we worship, it's a lot of energy.
It is.
Okay, the way we sing, the way we articulate, the way we talk, the way we walk, everything
You're right.
speaks to us as a people. Okay,
Right.
and what I try to do is document this in paintings and showing our own people that we are special.
Yeah.
We have something special to offer to the whole fabric of society. We're part of that society. We do matter in this society.
All right.
Okay? And that kind of power is awesome. Okay, when you find out that you can actually communicate. Okay, I may not be a good writer or a speaker, but my art speaks for me. Okay, and I use that.
I know you. If I remember correct, it's over 500 completed pieces, and then you have other pieces incomplete.
Oh yeah,
What do you?
In the thousands. That's one of the things that sometimes depress me. Okay, when I go into my studio, because the mind is constantly wheeling ideals. What you have to do is get those ideals and sketch everything. Then you put it aside. Okay, my wife Elaine can contest to that because she comes into my studio and she goes through these stacks of drawings, and then she pulls out one. She says, "Charles, do this one. Finish this one." Okay, and she has a good eye for those type of things because she's learned how to think the same way I do. And maybe it was my fault for indoctrinating her that way. But I think she's now got to the point where she can tell me some things that I never knew about myself. Okay, but my story. I mean, I thank God. Okay, every day, and sometimes I cry at the notion of it. That giving me the ability to do what I can do, because I started out not knowing the importance of it. Okay, it was just the ability that I was able to do, and I used that ability to only for one thing, to raise my grade point average in school.
Wow!
I never thought that I could take the ability to do that.
Right.
And the thing is, I think about it. How was I first inspired to do that? I used to look over my dad's shoulder. Okay, while he's thinking about how to pay bills at the dinner table.
Right.
But he'd be doodling. He'd be making these like little doodles of faces. Okay, just subconsciously as he thought. But he know that was making an impression on me, and that's what sparked that creative ability in me. And I always savor that moment. That's when it all started. Okay, and it's amazing how you got to be careful what you say and what you do around young people, because everything could be an inspiration that will affect them the rest of their lives. And I never thought I could make a living of it, but I was the consummate. I took in a lot of things. I love to be around people. I love people.
Mhm.
And so my strength was as a leader.
Right.
So I worked for major corporations, and I've learned how to deal and how to product management and all that stuff, how to sell from pet food at Ralston Perrine
Mhm.
to toys at Mattel Toys to aircrafts at Boeing Aircraft and soda pop at Pepsi Cola. I was in positions of management, and I think God was in some way grooming me
Mhm.
to dress my art in a different way. It's not something that I just learned to do. I was good at it,
Right.
but you have to manage it,
Mm.
and you have to create a product
Mhm.
with that art that will take care of your family.
Right.
So it was 30, almost 40 years after graduating from high school before I really got into the art professionally.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
but
So I learned a lot of
yeah.
things. I learned a lot of things that happen in our society. Now, I always tell the story
Mhm.
when Bill Cosby came along and we were watching TV, and Bill Cosby and his wife were successful people,
Right.
okay, and they had a house full of kids. But there was something uniquely different as you watch the Cosby Show. They had art on the wall.
They did. I
It
remember
was
that.
African American imagery,
Mhm.
okay. And that phenomenon is what got me to thinking, and 1,000 other artists like me.
Right.
Because what he did single-handedly, what he did was create a demand. Because people started calling the studio
Mhm.
and wanted to know, how can I be like the Cosbys?
That's right.
Okay, that's what speared a industry of selling affordable African American art. This this was a pivotal time
Mhm.
that made a lot of artists hope. I knew Barnett Honeywood, good friend of mine.
Mhm.
When you watch the Cosby Show, you were looking at her work.
Right.
Okay,
Mhm.
I went over her house one day, and she had stacks of prints this high. Okay, on the floor, she was just signing them. And I says, "What the hell are you doing?" She says, "Charles, all of these are already sold. We're shipping these out."
Oh my goodness.
Okay, that was a pivotal point in my life that empowered me, and this empowerment came from nowhere but God in my eyes.
That's
Because
right.
why did everything fall the way it did?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep.
and one thing just led to another. Okay, and I started getting images on black sitcoms as well.
Right.
Okay, and everything just ballooned after that. So the power within our own culture, okay, was being displayed before my presence.
Yeah.
Okay, and I said, "Man, this is amazing. It's almost like you're getting a vision from heaven that this is the way you need to go."
Yeah.
So I started rethinking my future. I
Right.
started planning ways to get out of corporate America.
Okay.
Okay, and that's when it started happening. Okay, with the support of my family
Mhm.
and my wife, we made that happen. Okay, and the rest is history. I mean,
It
but
definitely is.
I can't say that it was all on me,
Mhm.
but I think there was something happening, not in my life, but the other lives of my peers
Right.
in their life too, because they all have the same story. They all have the same testimony.
That's
Okay,
beautiful.
of how our culture empowered us. Okay, and we don't do it for no other reason but to embellish who we are,
Right.
tell our stories, and that's what we do.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
It's beautiful. I remember too getting Burnett Honeywood's one of the prints. So when you're
Yes.
talking, mine
Yeah.
probably you're probably one of those.
I'll
So
tell you,
for
it was,
sure,
yeah.
without a doubt.
Mhm.
Well, I know too. Your work is all over the world, literally all over the world. I mean, between corporations,
Mhm.
we homes, definitely. Where is where you feel is the most prestigious, or that your artwork is hanging? That
Well, it's hanging everywhere. It's hanging in museums, but I think the most accomplishment for me is to hang in individual, everyday people's homes.
yeah,
That's where it does the most good. It's not gonna. I mean, for for 50 or 60 years, we as a people can only go to museums and look at it,
right.
knowing good and well we couldn't take it home.
That's true.
Okay, but this country, okay, and their system,
Mm-hmm.
the capitalist system,
Correct.
allows for anybody with an ideal to achieve.
Yeah.
What we did, we used the same systems
Mhm.
of marketing, development, production,
Mm-hmm.
and distribution, and applied that to art. That's all we did,
And it's phenomenal.
and it's phenomenal. And I think because I think there's a reason why I was led into corporate America. Okay, because of that I was able to do things a little differently from what I was seeing from my peers.
Right.
Okay,
Mhm.
and that is to mass produce the art, bring the price down, and sell it to thousands and thousands of people, and get the art into their homes. Whereas
Yes.
before, it was impossible to do.
Really was. I know too. I think it was Essence magazine would always show yours, Ebony magazine,
Mhm.
just one that you could purchase it. But the biggest, what I would see as far as your artwork, was the jazz festivals.
Oh my goodness, the jazz festivals, and I did my first jazz festival right here in Rio Valley, California.
Okay.
Okay, we did it 3 years in a row, and we backed that festivals up with the art, the posters that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been blessed to do over 100 events over the last 30 or 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, from Southern California, Long Beach Jazz Festival, all the way to on the East Coast,
Right.
and on super cruises, the Tom Joyner cruise. I mean, the legendary blues cruise.
Right.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that was a way of communicating that really expanded the exposure. Okay, so I have been blessed with a lot of ways to enhance who we are
Right.
in terms of art.
Right.
Okay, and using the image to express who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but one thing I had to learn how to do is mass produce it to the point where the average person, because see, art was kind of elitist
Yes.
for a long time.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and I think what we brought to the art world was a way of making it affordable,
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time make it appreciate and value at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So we've done a lot of that.
Oh my God. And the quality is still there.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what you. I think
We use the best materials.
mhm.
We use the best processing, and we allow our collectors to move up. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we have beginning where you can start as a beginner.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the advanced arts that we can also produce and sell as well. And then we got original art.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So there are different levels as someone
Yes.
that is a collector or
Yeah,
that kind
right.
of thing. Well, I can tell you, this has been when I tell you your pieces, as I said before, for me, they speak to me. And they always have. And I think that a lot of people feel the same way. So, and I was mentioning to you when I talked to, I talked to 7 people before coming today.
Yeah.
Every single one of them they have a piece of art. All 7. They all said either a poster. That's what most had. They said they had a poster, but they knew it wasn't a question of who Charles Bibbs. It was a matter of I have a Charles Bibbs. It was that. It was that kind of thing.
Right.
So that in itself told me a lot of that the respect of you as an artist has been without a doubt, it has affected us as a culture. It's done more than you can even imagine. I think you thought it would do one thing, and it's probably done more than that. It's affected children. It's affected adults. I mean, I think our society. And
Yeah, I'm glad you said society, because I have a project now that is in the infant stage, but I've been working on it for the last 10 years. Okay. And I was inspired by the Bible when the Bible says, be careful how you entertain strangers because they can be angels unaware. And I'm thinking about our current homeless problem. Okay. And there was this term, bag. Remember the bag lady?
I remember that.
Okay. Well, I created a whole series of what I call the bagmen. Okay. And these were individuals who were exactly that, angels disguised. Okay. And they're here on earth to inspire people to care for the homeless. Because one of the biggest problems we have in our society now is the homeless. And I would think about that situation every time I came up and I'm at a stop sign and there's somebody standing there. I work for food, or I am homeless. I got to thinking, at that moment, I can judge him. I can say, go get a job or something like that.
Right.
But at that moment, it's me that's being judged, because I have an option to give or ignore at that moment.
Right.
Okay, that's the decision. And that's what stayed with me. And I said, we all have a responsibility. Homeless people are staring you dead in the face every day. I mean, and we drive by it and we look at it and we say, poor souls. Okay, what can we do? Okay, and I thought, I have to do something. I have to do something, because when I had my gallery in downtown Los Angeles, Skid Row was on the next block. And so me and Elaine worked up a relationship with a lot of the homeless people. They would come out and at closing time, they would watch the plays for us. And then we would come up in the morning and we'll always have something to give them in appreciation for watching the plays. What happened, the director of homeless Skid Row called me. He says, Charles, I understand. I've heard about the Bagman storyteller. He says, Charles, we are controlling our homeless people on here in Skid Row because we know their habits, we know where they are. Okay. He says, we're having a different problem. He says, the young people that are homeless, they're not stationary. They don't stay in one place. They travel. They're on bikes, skateboards. Okay. And he says, this is the director of Skid Row. He says, we've been finding them dead throughout the city.
The young people?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So he says, I want to use the Bagman storyteller on posters and post them out throughout the city. And to give these kids directions on where they can go for food, shelter, clothing, and any other needs they need. Right. Okay. So that, to me, at that moment, I think it was another message from God to tell me that my art has value.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So the Bagman storyteller, he's a unique individual. Okay. He walks around. He's got this strange get up. Okay. And he's got a stovepipe hat on his head. And the birds, he allowed birds to nest in his hat. So whenever you see the Bagman, you know somebody very special is approaching you.
Oh.
Okay.
He's unique.
Yeah, he's unique. And plus he's disguised. He's an angel in disguise.
Oh my goodness.
So he has stop powers. His power is in stories.
Oh.
He can tell you the story just what you need. He reads your mind. He knows that you're troubled.
Right.
Okay. And he knows that you probably feel that you could do more for homeless people. He'll give you the message, just what you need, because what we need is people who are willing to care. Okay, it's not, once again, God's not going to come down and instantly cure homeless problems.
Right.
That's for us to do that.
Right.
Okay, and that's why they're here, to show our ability to care. Okay, we have to continually try to do things. We can't just turn our backs on it.
Right.
So here once again, I've got to the point where art is not just a vehicle to support me
Right.
as a living, but it's also a vehicle to help others.
All right.
Okay. And here's my opportunity to help a situation that is in our communities. Okay.
I think when you're saying about the young people being mobile, is that why people were hurting? Because they're homeless and stable?
Right.
And so they create a community that's a safe environment.
Yes.
Wow.
But there's actually gangs of young people. They're mobile.
I didn't know that.
And they're mobile throughout Los Angeles regions, and they've been finding the problem. I got that statistics from the very people that are charged with caring for homeless, and that was Skid Row director.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yes,
I can tell you. Well, I can tell you, you're just it's fascinating. Really, I know too. Just now, your gallery. I know you're online also. You have an online presence. I mean, everybody has nowadays. Almost everybody have an online presence. But you're in this under cbibbs.com, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know you have the tables. I know I've seen
that's the genius of my son.
Okay.
He takes my art and manipulates it and make use other uses of art.
Right.
Like on tabletops. I call it art without walls.
Okay.
People get the idea that art can only go on walls, but art can go on carpets, they can go on tables,
anywhere. Yeah, because as you mentioned, we wear art in our clothes.
Oh, yeah, the clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's so many different ways you can use it. That's for sure. And I know I've seen the plates.
The plates, that has been a big game changer for us. And my son handles that part of our operation as well.
And they're beautiful. Those are gorgeous. Well, I can tell you, it's so much as far as what you can learn and what you can just. Like I said, I'm a art aficionado. That's I'm the right side of art, but not to sit down and draw the picture. I would be drawing stick pictures if I would do that. So, but when I see what other people do and create minds and someone such as yourself, I'm just amazed.
Yeah.
It's just
and I like to say to young artists, never look at it as one way. Okay. Art is multifaceted. There's many directions you can go in the arts, especially in our society today with social media. The ability to contact people is so much easier. The world has become smaller because of social media. You know, I've seen statistics that say out of 8 billion people on the earth, 5-6 billion are already linked into the social media networks. So, and what better is art is a way of communicating. So that's all you have to do is plug in, and you got it.
Wow.
You know.
I know. I was asking about mentoring too. You have mentored.
Oh yeah. We've done a lot of things to share what we know. I knew one thing that you have to take responsibility. Okay. We created a magazine at one time that presented the whole industry. We had people in our staff would do an analysis, and we determined that our industry, the art industry, was $50 billion strong.
Wow.
And of that $50 billion, okay, and this was 20 years ago, I don't even know, don't even want to imagine what it's like today. but $50 billion, we garnered control over 5 billion of that. Okay, just African American art.
10%.
Okay? And it's a lot bigger today. Okay. So there's a lot of interesting things that are going on in the art field. It takes more than just talent to be successful at it.
Right.
But I think it's easier to be successful at it because of our technology and the way people think today. Okay. Now they believe that all things are attainable. Okay. Right. And there's ways to make, produce, and make available just like anything. That's true. Especially when it comes to want items.
I know.
And I think we talked about the difference between a want item and a necessity.
Right.
Okay. Art is one of those want items. And to be able to address it in that way is something that you need to understand.
That's true. Yeah. But it's I think people, I was just in someone's home a couple days ago, they had one of your original pieces. And the first thing they did is literally brought me in because they knew the interview was coming up. And I have Charles Bibbs. Let me show you. It was so interesting. I thought I never asked that question if they had a Charles Bibbs or not, but it was they wanted to make sure I knew that this is it wasn't like you said, it wasn't a need, it was a want, but they have an original. And they were so proud to say, I have an original and it's framed and beautiful and things like that.
We God placed on my heart to do a lot of things that I didn't have to do for the sake of what we do as people and what we do as a group of artists.
Right.
And one of the things is communication. And we actually took on the responsibility of putting together a magazine that represented our whole industry. And then, we were blessed with, I think about 10 to 15 years running of that. Tell the market when those planes hit those buildings in New York, things like that can change in a heartbeat how things are done in our society. But we recovered, and we pick up and start over again. Okay. And just like what we're going on today with this pandemic, we've learned to adjust. Okay. And one thing that God has blessed us, me and my wife, is the understanding that because everybody's back in their homes, okay, there's some things that have really affected us. Okay. And I think it has affected everybody nationwide.
Right.
Okay. Because we're making those sacrifices. And the art, because art is in the homes, we've been blessed with an upsurge of demand on art because of that. So, one way you're deterred and one way you can be blessed. Right. But at the same time, it gives us hope. Okay, that this whole thing is only temporary and that we need to keep on pushing forward and follow the signs.
All right. Well, Charles, I'm going to tell you, I would like to thank you so much for being here today. I really do appreciate you coming out, and Elaine too, even though Elaine's off camera. But we do.
She's over there directed.
I wish she got it. But I have to thank you for coming. I do appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been blessed to have the wonderful, well-renowned Charles Bibbs with us today. Next week, we are having Jonathan Jones. He will be the guest on our next show next Monday. Thank you again. This is the Mary D. Welch Show, and I'll see you next Monday.